A cacophony of thunderclaps rattled the sky as ink-black clouds roiled overhead, and relentless sheets of rain pummeled the churning expanse of the ocean. The old wooden fishing boat groaned on each towering wave, its weathered planks soaked through and slick with spray. Salt stung the fisherman's eyes and whipped his tangled hair into his face as he fought to keep hold of the tiller, knuckles white where they gripped the cold metal. Suddenly, a rogue wave struck the port side with bone-crushing force, splintering a length of railing and sending the man tumbling over the gunwale. He hit the water with a thunderous splash, swallowing salt water as he struggled to surface. The boat lurched away in the darkness, its mast swaying ominously, leaving him alone in the maelstrom. The wind shrieked in his ears, each gust threatening to drag him beneath the frothing crests. Battered by wind and rain, he kicked against the drag of the sea, his soaked coat ballooning like a sail behind him. Every stroke was an agony. His arms screamed, his chest burned, and the waves sought to wrench him under whenever he paused to gasp for air. All around him, the furious ocean stretched without horizon, an endless field of gray peaks and troughs that offered no refuge. Lightning forked across the sky, illuminating the stubble of his jaw, and the desperation etched into his features. He caught a glimpse of jagged rocks looming in the distance, reef teeth waiting to rend both man and vessel. Heart pounding, he realized that without help, he would be dashed against those hidden shoals before dawn. Yet amid the roar of the tempest, he sensed something else, a faint disturbance beneath the water, as if something watched him from the depths, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The wind's fury showed no sign of abating as the fisherman fought to stay afloat, each wave threatening to drag him under. Then, through the spray and turbulence, he caught sight of something unexpected, a smooth, slate-gray dorsal fin slicing cleanly through the roiling water. His pulse quickened with equal parts hope and disbelief. Moments later, a sleek body burst from the waves, a bottlenose dolphin, her skin gleaming with seawater, muscles rippling beneath a coat polished like wet steel. With a graceful twist, she plunged back beneath the surface, leaving a foaming wake in her stead. Beneath the churning seas, the man imagined her world. Shafts of pale moonlight filtering down through fractured liquid, schools of silvery fish scattering at her approach, and the rhythmic pulse of her sonar clicks echoing off unseen reefs. She surfaced again, this time close enough for him to hear the faint crackle of her echolocation, a series of rapid-fire clicks that bounced against his ears like distant thunder. Each click carried information: the contours of the hidden shoreline, the position of submerged rocks, the currents that could bear him safely home. In her intelligent eyes, he saw urgency, but also calm assurance, as though she knew precisely how to guide him through the storm. Circling the fisherman in a protective arc, she emitted a soft series of whistles, almost musical amid the chaos, beckoning him to follow. As another towering wave approached, she swam beneath him and nudged his back upward, lifting his head above the crest so he could inhale precious gulps of air. Then, before he even realized it, she spun around and gestured him toward a gentler swell, breaking farther offshore. Instinctively, he gripped the sleek curve of her rostrum, trusting her strength against the sea's violence. With every powerful kick of her flukes, she propelled them both forward, weaving past hidden shoals and using her echolocation to avoid deadly reefs. All through the tempest's roar, the dolphin remained at his side, a silent guardian from the depths, her secret guidance lighting a path toward hope. The sea's fury showed no mercy, but through the roar of wind and wave, the fisherman became aware of something utterly unexpected, a rhythmic pattern of sounds punctuating the chaos. At first they were faint, a rapid succession of high-pitched clicks, like distant pebbles skittering across stone. Then came a clear, melodic whistle, rising and falling in a pattern so precise it felt intentional rather than random. He blinked through the spray and saw her, his mysterious ally, gleaming gray in the turbulent water. The dolphin arched her body in a graceful half-loop, then plunged again, sending twin sprays of foam into the air. Each time she surfaced, the sequence repeated. Click, click, click. Whistle. Click, click, click. Whistle. It was as though she were tapping out a sequence on invisible drums, drawing his attention away from the black emptiness around him and towards something beyond the turmoil. Instinct guided his ears to interpret the pattern. Short bursts of 3 clicks, followed by a single pull-tone whistle. He realized it was no ordinary dolphin chatter, but a deliberate signal, an SOS from the deep. His heart thundered in relief and wonder. Desperation melted into hope as he recognized the dolphin was beckoning him to follow, to trust her knowledge of hidden currents and secret channels. To reinforce her message, she began a second signal, a firm tail slap against the water's surface, sending a resonant thwack that vibrated through the fisherman's chest. The combination of clicks, whistles, and tail slaps formed a clear directive: move in the direction she was pointing. The water ahead, beyond the next cresting wave, shimmered with a faint calmness. Gathering every ounce of remaining strength, he reached out and gripped her curving dorsal fin. As he did, the dolphin emitted one final, confident whistle, an affirmation of safety. Then, with powerful flicks of her tail, she turned and began to lead him through the maelstrom, her SOS echoes resonating like a beacon, guiding him toward hope's distant shoreline. The sea heaved in towering swells as the dolphin pressed onward, her streamlined body cutting through the tumult like a living keel. Each wave loomed above the fisherman, threatening to engulf him, but she guided him with unerring precision. At the crest of every breaker, she slowed just enough to let him brace against her back, then propelled them both downward into the trough with a powerful thrust of her flukes. Salt spray stung his eyes, yet he clung to her dorsal fin, trusting her every movement as if his very life depended on it, because it did. Beneath the surface, he felt the dolphin's echolocation pulses, rapid, rhythmic clicks that mapped out the seafloor topography and detected hidden hazards, sharp rocks, shifting sandbars, and swirling undercurrents. With each signal, she adjusted their course a few degrees, veering them around underwater reefs that could have shredded the hull of his boat or dashed him against coral-like boulders. In the intermittent lulls between waves, her soft whistles reminded him to keep breathing steadily, to conserve strength for the grueling passage ahead. Above, the sky remained a roiling canvas of black and slate gray, but here and there a gap in the clouds allowed slivers of moonlight to silver the sea's peaks. Those fleeting shafts illuminated a narrower channel of foam-flecked water, a safe lane that led steadily shoreward. The dolphin threaded them through this corridor, weaving beneath surging walls of water, her silhouette a constant beacon in the darkness. As exhaustion gnawed at his limbs, the fisherman sensed land approaching. The roar of breaking surf grew louder, carrying a grainy hiss of sand and seaweed. Seizing the moment, the dolphin increased her pace, her tail strokes becoming broader and more urgent. With each powerful surge, they closed the distance, slicing through the final, most daunting waves. And then, as dawn's first pale light threaded the horizon, the channel gave way to shallow water, his salvation at last. Battling one last swell, she nudged him gently forward, and he felt the reassuring firmness of the seabed beneath his feet. Knees trembling, he stood, water lapping at his waist, and the dolphin swam beside him in triumph. In that moment of calm after the storm, he knew he owed his life to this extraordinary guide. From the deep, she had summoned him back to safety. The shoreline drew nearer, but with it came new perils. Beyond the last rolling breakers, the fisherman squinted through the spray and saw the telltale triangular fins slicing the water's surface. A small pod of hungry sharks circled in the shallows, drawn by the scent of blood and the frantic thrashing of his exhausted limbs. His heart pounded in terror. He knew that, without intervention, even the strongest swimmer could become prey. Sensing his fear, the dolphin surged forward. Beneath the whitecaps, he felt her powerful body glide beside him, her echolocation clicks sharpening into a rapid staccato. The clicks mapped the exact positions of the predators, and she wove a protective arc between the fisherman and the sharks. Each time a shark lunged, she slapped her tail across the swell in warning, a resounding whacap that sent ripples through the water and drove the nearest predators back into deeper swells. Above them, a low rumble of thunder warned of more storm squalls, but the dolphin's focus never wavered. She darted beneath a circling hammerhead, ramming its flank with just enough force to convince it that this human-dolphin pair was not worth the risk. The hammerhead recoiled, and the others fell in line, their sleek bodies pivoting away from the unyielding barrier of her form. Yet even as she fended off marine hunters, the sea itself conspired against them. An undertow curled around a submerged sandbar, threatening to pull the fisherman back out to deeper water. He felt the current tug at his legs like invisible hands, and panic surged. With a reassuring whistle, the dolphin darted ahead to the sandbar's edge, her high-frequency clicks revealing a narrow gap in the flow. She beckoned him forward, then surged through the channel, guiding him around the undertow's grip. By now, the fisherman's strength was nearly spent. His arms trembled, his lungs burned with each gasp, and every wave felt like a mountain to overcome. But when he looked into the dolphin's bright, resolute eyes, he found renewed courage. She pressed gently against his side, urging him onward, and with her at his flank, he found the will to paddle again. As the breakers foamed around them, the final sharks retreated, unwilling to challenge the dolphin's fierce guardianship. Beyond their patrol, a line of submerged fishing nets glimmered ominously beneath the white water. The dolphin's soft whistles grew urgent, and she tapped each net with her rostrum, showing him exactly where to pull clear. With one last powerful flick of her tail, she propelled them through the final wall of surf. The fisherman felt the sand rise beneath his toes as he stumbled onto the beach, waves lapping gratefully around his ankles. Turning back, he saw the dolphin circle once, her dorsal fin cutting a triumphant arc, before she plunged beneath the surface and vanished into the calm beyond. Dawn's first rosy fingers had barely kissed the horizon when the fisherman collapsed onto the wet sand, chest heaving and limbs trembling from the night's ordeal. The crashing surf now sounded distant, muted by the vast expanse of shore between him and the turbulent deep. He lay on his side, staring out at the glassy stretch of water where he had fought for his life, every breath a ragged testament to his survival. Suddenly, a familiar shape emerged from beneath the breaking waves, a slate-gray silhouette gliding effortlessly through the shallows. The dolphin surfaced just yards from where he lay, her blowhole exhaling a soft plume of spray that glinted in the morning light. In her expressive eyes, he saw concern and relief, as though she were checking that her charge had made it safely to land. He struggled to his knees and reached out a trembling hand. The dolphin answered by arching her neck above the foam, letting him touch the smooth, warm curve of her dorsal fin. Her skin, slick with seawater, felt like polished marble against his fingertips. For a moment, man and creature lingered in silent communion, two beings from different worlds, united by a shared trial. Soft, low whistles rippled between them, carrying the dolphin's gentle reassurance. The fisherman wrapped both arms around her fin, tears mingling with salt water on his cheeks. He whispered words of gratitude he could scarcely believe he was alive to speak. "Thank you. Thank you for saving me." With a cheerful chirrup, she nudged him again, beckoning him to stand. He stumbled to his feet, the water washing over his boots, and turned to survey the beach. A blanket of smooth, golden sand stretched out under the pastel sky, dotted with seaweed, shells, and the occasional driftwood log. Seabirds wheeled overhead, their cries heralding the arrival of morning. Drawing a shuddering breath, the fisherman began walking toward the shoreline, each step steadier than the last. The dolphin swam beside him in the shallow surf, her pectoral fins skimming the sand in time with his stride. At the water's edge, she paused, her silhouette framed by the rising sun. He knelt and pressed his forehead to the foam-washed sand, a silent prayer of thanks carried on the breeze. Then, with one last loving whistle and a graceful flick of her tail, she turned seawards. The dolphin's body slipped beneath a gentle swell, her dorsal fin, the last thing visible before it too, vanished beneath the mirrored surface. The fisherman watched until the water stilled, then stood and brushed the sand from his coat. Behind him, the shore stretched out under the widening daylight, a blank canvas on which he would forever carry the memory of her courage and kindness. Each step back toward home was a pilgrimage of gratitude, echoing the trust they had forged together in that tempestuous night. And though she had returned to the depths, her secret SOS signal would live on in his heart, as a timeless testament to the bond between human and dolphin, and to the power of compassion across the vast divide of ocean and land. The sky had transformed into a canvas of pastel pinks and soft gold by the time the fisherman reached the dunes. Behind him, the ocean's tumultuous roar had mellowed into a gentle murmur, its frothy crests now caressing the sand in tender rhythms. He paused, chest heaving from exertion, and turned back toward the water's edge, half expecting to see his unlikely savior still waiting. There, at the line where surf meets sand, the dolphin emerged once more. Her sleek body caught the early light, each curve highlighted in luminous silver. She surfaced with a soft exhalation, spray arching like a delicate veil. In her deep, intelligent eyes, he saw not just relief, but a luminous bond formed in the crucible of shared peril. The fisherman stepped closer, water lapping around his calves, and offered a trembling bow of his head, a gesture born of deep respect. He reached out slowly, fingertips brushing the warm, velvety expanse of her dorsal fin. At his touch, she responded with a low, melodic whistle that resonated in his chest, as if to say, "You are safe now." Behind them, seabirds spiraled overhead, their cries echoing like applause across the wide beach. A curious sandpiper darted near, pausing to watch this tableau of human and dolphin united in a moment of mutual honor. Each wave that broke at their feet seemed to carry with it a final crescendo of the night's drama, now resolved. Gathering his strength, the fisherman spoke aloud into the dawn, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for guiding me home." His words were carried away on the salt breeze, but somehow they felt heard. The dolphin arched her neck in acknowledgement, then circled him in a graceful half-loop, a final salute from the deep. As the tide began its slow retreat, revealing seaweed-strewn rocks and driftwood, the dolphin slipped beneath the surface. For a heartbeat, her silhouette lingered, a dark crescent beneath the crystalline waves, before she dove, disappearing into the ocean's gentle swell. In her wake, the water stilled, leaving only the soft sigh of the sea. The fisherman watched until the last ripple faded, then turned inland. Each step through the cool, damp sand felt lighter than the one before, as if the weight of fear had been washed away. Behind him lay the restless sea. Ahead, the promise of home and hearth awaited. Yet in his heart, he carried the echo of her SOS calls and the memory of her steadfast guidance, a testament to the extraordinary harmony between human and nature. He paused once more at the crest of the dune, gazing back at the limitless horizon where sea and sky met. A single feather from a passing tern drifted across his path, dancing in the breeze, a quiet reminder that kindness often arrives in the most unexpected forms. With a final, grateful sigh, he turned away and began the walk home, knowing that, whenever next he ventured upon the waves, somewhere beneath the surface his dolphin ally swam, ready to answer her own secret summons and guide another soul in need.